All right. My name is Moji from Kai FM. I do the afternoon drive. Welcome to the Brian McKnight press conference. On my left is, of course, the legendary Brian McKnight, a multi-award winner. What a great honor for you to be here. Welcome to South Africa.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back. It's wonderful. The weather's incredible. It's been so long. It's almost like the first time I'm coming. But we were looking forward to it. Every year, I was telling my people, like, we got to get back to South Africa. We got to get back because the last time was so incredible. I really didn't know what to expect the last time we came. It's probably, Eb and I were talking, it must have been about 10 years ago, 8, 9, at least that long ago. And at that time, we had just really started traveling internationally. And, you know, as a songwriter and an artist, I never know that people are actually listening in the States, let alone on the other side of the world. I mean, you get some semblance of what it is because people are telling you that, but until you go to a place and you get on stage and you start playing that first song and you see the excitement and you hear the screams and you just that's what you live for as an artist. That's what you dream about, and to do it so far away from home is just such. Thank you all so much for being here today and for allowing me to come back. And as often as you want me to come back, I will come back. There's so many different outlets for artists today that it almost makes it even more difficult than it used to be. And people think that because of the internet that now we have this huge, great thing to be able to promote our music. Well, the problem with the internet now is that everyone who's on the internet is there doing something that only pertains to them. They're on their own Facebook, they're on their own Instagram, they're on their own Twitter. So it's very difficult to find them. And unfortunately, people aren't necessarily seeking you out because they're trying up their own numbers. So when you hear about people who are doing things that are unplugged, it's because it's more out of necessity than anything because labels really don't have the resources anymore to be able to promote artists, particularly new artists, until they have something that's already selling or something that has 1 million followers already following it. It's such a crazy thing. So when you see someone who's actually putting their best foot forward, particularly something that may not be the norm, there's so many talented people out there. I get DMs to my Instagram of people singing my songs all the time from all over the world who may not even speak English, who are killing, that you wouldn't even expect. I got one from the Middle East the other day that was just, this girl was doing all my stuff note for note, and I couldn't believe it. I sent her a message back, and just, we as artists that they look up to have to be encouraging to these folks because there's really no blueprint for them to make it, but they're still gonna try. Because if you listen, I'm not sure how the music is here, but the music in the States, it's funny, my girlfriend's daughter said, it almost seems that today you have to have no talent to make it. And that's she's 17. And that's the mentality of a lot of people today. And I just wish with all of our resources, with technology the way that it is, it should be the opposite of that. And it's just great to see that there's still people out there who are really, really talented and trying to put their best foot forward. I think we live in a compartmentalized world. And fortunately or unfortunately, I grew up in a time when music was not compartmentalized. You hear Earth, Wind and Fire right after Willie Nelson, right after Michael Jackson, right after, it was just music. And what ends up happening is people start putting these labels all over the place. And I don't think that you can call something this or that. It just, for me, soul music or what I create is soul music, and it's music for your soul. I don't know if it's R&B, because when I think of R&B, I think of the Temptations. I'm thinking of the Four Tops, and my music doesn't really sound like theirs. This CD, I really wanted to, it's funny because when people come up and they start talking to me, they're usually talking about my very first album that they love so much. And the thing about that album that I made was that I didn't know what I was doing. I created a record of music that I loved. And because it was a first impression, I didn't have to be pigeonholed into one thing here or one thing there. There was jazz in that album. There was what was considered classic R&B. There was pop on that album. And The biggest thing was that there was very little computer-generated music on that album. So I decided to go back in this time. I did not play all the instruments on this record like most of the albums that I've done. I got my guys off the road. We went in the studio for 2 days and we cut 12 tracks all live for this album. There were there's only one song that has any computer drums, and I just wanted to create a record that was musical again. I wanted to be as creative as I possibly could because I felt like, why should I, and bear with me, I'm not trying to sound like I'm better than anyone because I don't believe that, but I truly believe that why should I try to be like everybody else when I can do all of this? And that's what I decided to do. I put everything I possibly could musically onto this album. From the words that I wrote, to the way I sang, to the chords that I chose. I didn't think about playing it on the radio. I just wanted to be as musical as I possibly could. And I really love what has happened because it made me fall back in love, not only with music, but the process of creating music. It really wasn't about whatever the cookie cutter thing, well, I gotta be current. And consequently, it's been done for 3 months. And it still sounds like I finished it today. In 6 months, it's gonna still sound, because it's real. It's not, ooh, well those sounds were so 6 months ago, or those sounds were from another record. It's real drums, real bass, real guitar, and we're like playing, not just kind of like, oh, we're really doing it. And whether they play it or not, whether people are like, well, that kind of sounds like whatever. Because I'm always in a tough spot, because if I do something new, they'll say, well, that's not what Brian McKnight does. If I do the same old thing, if I just do the same Brian McKnight ballad, they'll be like, well, that's what he always does. So I'm just like, you know what, I don't care, I'm just going to do whatever I feel. And I feel great about what I've done. I think that we as the consumers have to decide what it is that we want and create our own trends, as opposed to just following whatever people are giving to us. Because that's the way it used to be. I feel like the 90s was the greatest time ever to grow up with music, because you had so many different types and so many people that were great, like really, truly great. It's a tough thing every night, no matter where we are. Let's just say that there are about 10 to 12 songs I have to play every night, no matter what. It's the other however many songs there are, but I kind of feel it out. Thanks to social media, asking the questions to the folks where I'm going makes it a lot easier, but they all pick the same songs. They all want to hear Back at One, they all want to hear Anytime, they all want to hear One Last Cry, so those are 3 of the original 10. And then basically, because I put the shows together, I try to make a flow that makes sense. But as a songwriter, I'm also a storyteller, so during my shows I try to set up the songs in a way that it almost feels like you're watching a movie. And that's how I've always wanted to do my shows, and I've gotten better at it over the years, I hope, and that's what I'm hoping to bring back this time as I'm back here. Thank you.